Hello and welcome to Paint Yourself into the Picture, healing conversations to help us create the best and brightest picture of our lives. I'm Reba Linker, best-selling author, life coach, and manifesting guru, and I'm so glad you're here. Today is another reading in the Tea with Reba series, so get comfy and grab a cup of whatever you prefer. Watch or listen in. This one is called Self-Sabotage is a Good Thing. Self-sabotage is a good thing. Say what? We all know self-sabotage leads to pain and suffering. Yet maybe it is time we start to see it in a new light. Hear me out on this. In the name of self-love, let's give due respect to the self-sabotaging part of us. For self-sabotage is really a strategy for a kind of success. Granted, we may not get the results that another part of us might wish for. Still, self-sabotage is a strategy for success on another level. I'll use myself as an example. At some point in my childhood, I absorbed the message that I could get the love I needed if I was not successful. This message was subtly and subconsciously delivered and received. The overt messages were all about succeeding, effort, discipline, etc. I was a good student, and I threw myself into the pursuit of outward success. Yet underneath, the message was that success was the domain of others. I was to play the role of the ditzy girl who couldn't quite make a go of things. I was given to understand that there was a place for me as a supporting character, a dependent, a perpetual child, daughter, rather than an autonomous being. Here again, I was an excellent student, and so in the face of enormous effort, I persistently created less than the stellar success I was capable of. Anytime I started to look too good, I'd go into hiding or make myself look bad. I was really good at it. I was a success at failing. Of course, my inner strategy was flawed, as I learned in due time. Well, a heck of a long time, actually. Nonetheless, I have learned to love that dear, albeit misguided, part of me that gave so much to strike that bargain. Hey, it doesn't come cheap to allow others to think less of us, and it's not easy to hide one's light. I had my reasons. We all do. We are not crazy or self-destructive. On the contrary, we are trying to follow the rules of the game as life has presented them to us. Maybe long ago we got the message that it wasn't okay to step into a sibling's limelight, or we needed to conform to the family style, or we made a vow never to get hurt again, or our shiny brightness was simply too much for some people, and so we tamped it down. Do you know what I'm talking about here? Let's call these our human inheritances. We all have them. We pay a staggeringly high price for our desire to belong. We override our true nature in exchange for acceptance. It's not a fun way to live, but we are not failures. We are simply working a flawed plan really well. The self-saboteur within is a paragon of capability and determination, and she is a total success at what she is attempting to accomplish. This is not a word game. We're talking about real suffering here. Years, decades, even lifetimes of a frustrating lack of accomplishment in personal and or professional matters. This is about choosing ideas that support our growth. While self-sabotage describes an aspect of what's happening, it doesn't enter deep enough into the heart of the maze to provide a way out. Am I recommending self-sabotage as a way of life? Of course not. We all can agree that self-sabotage militates against our fondest dreams. That frustration is what brings us to this discussion in the first place. Yet we can't beat it by attacking it head on. That direct assault only makes it more entrenched. We must work the change from behind enemy lines, so to speak. We must learn to understand our opponent's position. We must learn to listen, hear, and respect its motivations. We must give the self an offering of love rather than anger, gratitude, not criticism. These acts of compassion to the self are in fact exactly what that part of the self has wanted all along and was simply going about it in all the wrong ways. Once we honor that desire for love and belonging, we will find the self-sabotaging stance shaking loose its old ways and running our stories and releasing its grip on our lives. Shifting our perspective eases our burden by removing layers of self-criticism, i.e. further self-suppression from an already painfully self-suppressed situation. The label self-sabotage leads me to ask the wrong questions, such as, why do I hate myself? I don't. Why do I sabotage my success? Because my secret inner goal is more important to me. Acknowledging my inner strategy allows me to focus on what I am achieving rather than what I am failing to achieve. Only then can I assess whether my strategy is actually achieving my goal or not. When we recognize that self-sabotage will not bring us what we really desire, it never does, it becomes easy to allow success in, and it changes everything. Most important, the very act of honoring the dignity of my choice creates an opening for change. For we have a greater inheritance. Let's call it our divine or universal inheritance. This inheritance claims that we are always whole in every way. Our seeming brokenness is but a small part of our greater, beautiful wholeness. Decades of self-sabotage do not take away from the imminent possibility of success. We can change our reality in the blink of an eye. We are always free to succeed. Our actions of yesterday are but a small blip, an experiment in getting the love we need. We forgot for a moment that the love we desire is already there. And we chased a flawed strategy in an attempt to gain what was ours all along. And now we can remember that our life is always as joyous and perfect as it ever was or ever will be. We need only claim it. To believe this is essential, else we are condemned to believe that life is just a crazy catch-22, wherein we can only succeed by failing, and yet we can never fail enough to succeed. If there's a voice within us, no matter how faint, that refuses that catch-22, if that inner voice says this can't be all there is, then this shift in perspective is the beginning of a way out of the maze. There's much to learn about how to befriend ourselves and how to live in a new way. Learning to love the self-saboteur within us is a perfect place to start. Self-sabotage can be laid aside as a survival strategy. It doesn't work, and we don't need it anymore. Look inside. Success is easier than you think. In fact, you are wonderfully whole and magnificently successful already. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Tea with Reba. If you like what you saw, please feel free to subscribe, like, comment below. I love to hear what you thought of it. These are topics that are important to so many of us. You can learn more about me at rebalinker.com and on Facebook at Leaders in Self-Love. Many blessings.